All right. I got another one for you, right? So there's this dude, right? I did not fancy this dude, right? I met him at a bar once. He kind of like tried to, tried to get me to let him fuck my wife, and I was not gonna have that. I'm not a cuck. I'm not about that. So I, uh, I broke into his house that night, right? Because like he'd been drinking and like it'd be pretty easy to just break into his house, right? So I went to the back door and I like kind of shook it a little bit, and it turns out that it was already unlocked. So being being like that easily accessible is really funny to me, because like I already had a gun and stuff, and like I had the lock picking tools and supplies, and like I was prepared, and like I didn't even need them. Like I could have just left them in my car, which was parked outside his house. Yeah, but I parked the car outside his house, and I walked around back, and I walked in the house, and I was being all quiet, like right, and I walked into I walked through the house, I walked through the back, into the front closet, and there were zip ties in there, very useful, very useful. And this dude's like passed out drunk, right? So I walk in his room, and he's like fucking he's outie, right? And I zip tied one arm to the bed, and I looked at him, and I kind of like flipped him off, like smacked him a little bit, and he was out cold. And I zip tied the other arm to the bed, and I zip tied his leg to the bed, and then I left, and I went into his kitchen, and I grabbed the only suitable weapon, his the apple peeler that he had, just out. Well, he probably didn't have it. It was probably his wife, but like, they left it out, and I cleaned it off. I like soaped it up and like dried it off and all that, and then I went into the room and I started peeling him, and I forgot to I forgot to tie down his other leg, right? So, me being the most irrational person, gun's already silenced, so I just kind of like shot him in the knee, and it started bleeding everywhere, and like he tried to start screaming, but I had peeled his vocal cords, and like I know that sounds like that sounds like it's not possible, but like if you get that apple peeler deep enough, yo, that'll certainly sever something important. Cause like I severed something important, and like he's bleeding everywhere, right? Like yeah, he's bleeding everywhere, and like this dude, he snores a bunch, so like his wife sleeps in a different room and his kids sleep in. Obviously, his kids sleep in different rooms, like the kids in the bunk bed and stuff. So the older kid, who's like 7, right, is like he like walks in, he's like rubbing his eyes and stuff. He's like, "What's going on, Dad?" And he just stops and he looks at the situation and he goes to scream, but he doesn't have enough time because I grabbed him by the jaw, right, and I picked him up by the jaw and the neck, and I did a little heave ho and threw him right out the window, and that made a loud enough crash for his wife to walk in the room and see what was going on, and almost scream, and then I shot her in both kneecaps, and then she really started to scream, and then tried to crawl out of the room with her broken kneecaps, so I had to jam nails in her hands and like have her like sit down and watch. Sit down is subjective, by the way, because like her nails were or her hands were nailed to the floor. Um, yeah, and then the other kid walked in, right? There were two kids. I told you before, Buckmans, and that dude's like, whoa. There seems to be an issue here. So obviously, I'm the most rational one in this situation right now because I'm the only one without bodily harm, and I took the kid and I brought him to the kitchen and I asked him what he wanted to eat, and he said pancakes, right? So I opened the fridge, I grabbed the milk, I put the milk out, and then I grabbed the biggest knife in my cabinet and I decapitated him and walked outside took the kid that was outside, kind of opened the front door, threw him back in, and then lit the entire house on fire.